I'm not ready for a relationship yet. I need to focus on myself first. I need to get my life in order. I need to become someone before I ask anyone to stand beside me. It sounds like discipline and it sounds like maturity. It sounds like you are taking yourself seriously before you ask anyone else to. But behind this honorable facade, behind all this grind, something hiding deep in your consciousness is left to slowly rot. Because the version of you that is working on himself, and the version of you that is afraid of being seen before you feel worthy of it, are usually the same person in the same room, on the same ordinary Tuesday, telling yourself the version of the story you can repeat to your friends without flinching. And the self you are waiting to become may only exist on the other side of the very thing you are using all of this to avoid. Every age finds a respectable way to avoid the thing it is afraid of. Our generation found self-improvement. There was a time when a man who avoided love had to call it what it was. It was loneliness, cowardice, a failure of nerve, but somewhere in the last decade, a new language arrived, and it was a far more flattering one. Now the man who avoids the risk of being known is not hiding. He is focusing. He is not lonely. He is locked in. He is not afraid, and he is building. The gym is the prison he hides in, the endless project of becoming a leaner, sharper, more impressive version of himself. That is the sentence. And the door stays shut, not out of fear, but out of something that looks from the outside almost exactly like discipline. And the world applauds it. Tell a room full of people you have decided to stay single for a year, to focus on your career, and to finally get serious in the gym, and watch them nod with something close to respect. There is no other form of avoidance that earns applause like this one. A man who hides from his life by drinking is pitied, but a man who hides it from improving is admired. Jay Gatsby is the perfect example of this. By himself, he built the most elaborate disguise that was ever put to paper. He filled it weekend after weekend with hundreds of people whose names he did not know and whose company he did not want. He bought the imported shirts and the yellow car and the shelves of books he never opened, and the manners, the borrowed voice, and the whole shimmering performance of a man who had arrived from somewhere important. And he did all of it, every party, every gesture, every invented detail of himself, for the attention of a single person across the water. He did not want the attention, he wanted to be worthy of being looked at. The longing underneath it was the only true thing he had. Blaise Pascal saw the shape of this 4 centuries ago. He wrote that all of humanity's problems come from a single inability, the inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He understood that a person will reach for almost distraction rather than be left for themselves. He simply never lived to see how sophisticated the distraction would become. He never saw a man fill that silence with protein and productivity and self-discipline and call the whole thing growth. Because that is the trick of it. The work is real, the discipline is real, the body changes and the bank balance grows, and none of it is a lie. It is only that underneath all of it, doing the quiet driving, is a fear the work was never designed to name. The fear of being seen as you are now, before the transformation, and before you are ready, before you have become whoever it is you have decided you must be first. But none of this is an argument against the work itself. The point is not that you should stop, or abandon the gym, close the books and let yourself go soft. Self-improvement is not the disease, and for most people, most of the time, it is one of the few honest things they do with their days. The point is narrower than that, and harder to sit with. The problem was never the work, but rather the belief running quietly underneath the work. A belief about the order things are supposed to arrive in. The belief is that success must come first and love comes after, that you earn the relationship the way you earn everything else, by becoming impressive enough to deserve it. Our generation has quietly perpetuated the notion that love must be earned, that you need the attractive body and the large bank balance and the backstory that could pass for the plot of a James Bond film. And we have it almost exactly backwards. Erich Fromm spent an entire book taking this belief apart. He called it The Art of Loving, and his central claim was that we treat love as a problem of being loved, when it is really a problem of loving. We obsess over becoming worthy, more attractive, more successful, more deserving, as though love were a prize handed to the most accomplished. But love, Fromm said, is not a reward you receive once you are good enough. It is a skill, a practice, something you only ever get better at by doing it, badly, before you are ready. There is no exam, there is no threshold you cross when you are suddenly qualified. The man waiting to become worthy of love is waiting for a certificate that was never going to be issued. And the evidence is sitting in plain sight, in the lives of almost every man you have ever admired. Look closely, and you will rarely find a man who became successful and was then rewarded with the right person. Far more often, you will find the opposite. A man who found the right person and was made steadier, braver, and sharper because of them. The relationship was not the trophy at the end of the climb, it was the thing that made the climb survivable. Gatsby is what the other version looks like. He had the looks, the fortune, and the mansion. He was, by society standards, the ideal type of man to marry. He even got the moment he had built his entire life around, the woman he loved standing inside his house at last, walking through the rooms he had assembled for her. And when she finally saw what he had made of himself, she broke down crying into a pile of his most beautiful imported shirts. Not because she loved him, but because the shirts were beautiful. He had spent everything he had becoming impressive, and impressive was the only part of him she could see. The performance had worked perfectly, and it had simply nothing to do with being loved. Which leaves a question that is difficult to sit with. If the right relationship makes everything else easier, and you are using everything else to delay the relationship, what exactly are you building toward? If you press most men hard enough, the answer arrives on its own. You're offered the choice between real success with no one to share it, and an ordinary life beside the right person, and a lot of them, quietly, would take the second. Which means the relationship was the point the entire time. The self-improvement was a detour, a long, disciplined, and beautifully justified detour around the one thing they actually wanted, because walking toward it directly felt too much like standing in the open. But amidst all the distraction, amidst the gym sessions, the nights studying, the hours spent binge-watching motivational content, the cost of time quietly accumulates, and at some point you will find yourself at the end of university wondering how you never managed to build a single lasting meaningful connection. Because the years you are treating as the wrong time, the university years, the early 20s, the stretch before real life supposedly begins, are not the wrong time at all. They are very likely the best conditions you will ever be handed. You are surrounded by people your own age, at the same stage, carrying the same uncertainty you are. Your time is your own in a way it will never quite be again. The stakes are low, the circles are wide. Meeting someone is still treated as an ordinary feature of being alive, rather than a logistical operation scheduled around 2 careers and a commute. You will spend the rest of your life paying for proximity you currently take for granted. Because none of it survives. After these years, every part of it gets harder. There is less time, there are fewer people in your orbit, and the ones who remain are slowly pairing off. There is more money at stake, and more pride wrapped around it. The friction does not stay where it is. It compounds quietly, year on year, until the easy thing you kept deferring has become a genuinely difficult one. Gatsby learned this too, and learned it too late. The one real thing in his life happened when he has no one, a young officer with no money and no name, who fell for a girl years before he had anything at all. That was the window, that was the only time any of it was ever simple. He let it close, certain he had to go away and become worthy first, and by the time he came back rich enough to deserve her, she had married another man and the moment was gone. Everything he built afterward, the fortune, the house, the parties thrown across the bay in the hope she might wander in, was an attempt to buy his way back into a room that had already closed its doors. You make a promise to your future self that you'll do it when things settle down, but it is a promise the future has no intention of keeping, because the future is not the place where things settle. It is the place where the rent climbs and the free hours vanish, and the thing that was once simple becomes something you have to fight for. And Fromm's point returns here, with a harder edge. If love is a skill, then like any skill, it is only built through practice. Clumsy, repeated, imperfect practice. The men who moved through their 20s and 30s with some grace in this part of life are not the ones who waited until they were ready. They are the ones who are getting it wrong in their 20s while getting it wrong was still cheap. The man who deferred all of it is not ahead of them, polished and prepared. He is years behind them, starting from nothing, in worse conditions, against the same clock that has never stopped for anyone. Kierkegaard described the kind of despair that does not feel like despair at all. Not loud, not dramatic, simply the quiet condition of a person failing to become himself and not even noticing it has happened. He believed it was the most common form there is. A man can spend an entire life almost becoming who he is, always preparing, always nearly ready, and mistake the preparation for the living. That is the trap folded inside working on yourself. The self you are building in private, alone, behind the closed door, is not some finished article you will one day present to the world. Part of it can only ever be built in the presence of another person. The patience, the tenderness, the particular courage it takes to be fully seen and to stay in the room anyway. None of it is forged in isolation. You do not become ready and then go and find love. You become a fuller version of yourself by daring to be loved before you are ready. Because what you are calling readiness is, more often than not, just the wound itself.